Welcome to the 2016-2017 club volleyball season. My name is Bree Isaacson and I am the club director.
And my name is Bridget Hack and I'm the business manager. We are going to take a few minutes to just go over some of the general information for you to know for this season and hopefully answer all your questions.
So first I'm just going to quickly touch on the USAV registration. All of you have one if you tried out with us. Some of you guys bought a temporary one. Some of you have one from a previous season. All USAV registrations need to be updated or renewed or purchased by the first practice, which is September 26th. So for us to be able to get rosters on, to our different tournament sites and on our websites in time, we have to have a renewed membership. So we're asking all families to take care of that by the first practice being September 26th. Also, all forms will need to be submitted at that time as well. So if your son is missing any forms or the USAV registration is not updated, you would get an email from either Bridget or myself prior to the first practice day. However, on that first practice day, we will be doing the check-in as the boys come in. And if they're missing either the registration or the forms, we'll let them know, but they will not be able to start practice until everything is updated. Practices for all the boys begin on September 26th. Practices are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Sundays on weekends that they don't play. Our practice locations are Club One Volleyball and Ridge Elementary School. And an exact practice schedule, times, locations, and details will be emailed out to our families right after we have our open house and we get through all of the paperwork and know our exact numbers per age division. We do ask that our athletes arrive 15 minutes early to each practice. We ask that so that we can properly start practice on time. If your son is going to be late or he's going to miss a practice, we ask that he lets the coach know before the practice starts. Of course, exception is an emergency. And in the first few weeks of practice, since teams aren't selected, emailing Bridget or myself, we can also pass that information along. As I just touched on, there'll be a couple weeks of practice because we have multiple teams in each age division. There'll be a couple weeks of practice and then team selections will be made. The boys will find out what team they're on as well as the coaching information. We do allow our athletes to have 3 excused absences throughout the course of the season. Those 3 are for anything that they need. It can be a study day, it can be a grandma's 90th birthday party, but they do get 3. Beyond those 3, it is possible that an athlete is going to have to start making up some practice time to ensure that they don't have any missed play time when they go to tournaments. There's 2 exceptions to that rule. The first would be an extended illness or injury. That's something we could talk about all together once that athlete is back. And the second thing would be a multiple sport athlete, and we'll touch on that just a little bit further down. When athletes come to practice, it's the expectation that they'll wear a Club One practice t-shirt, shorts, socks, and volleyball shoes, knee pads if they prefer them. In the first couple weeks, if someone's new to Club One and they do not have a Club One practice t-shirt, any athletic t-shirt will do. Our returning players, we do expect it to be a Club One shirt, and then once all of the t-shirts are handed out, then that would be the practice attire moving forward. The other thing I just wanted to touch base on is that practices at Club One are closed to our families, and it's for no other reason than simple gym space issues. We don't have a ton of space. When the girls start, boys will be ending, girls will be coming, or the other way around. We do use the outer perimeter of the court for weight training and plyo and things like that. So on the first Monday of every month, we do structure our practices to not have quite as much happening on the outsides of the court. We do invite our families in on the first Monday of every month whenever that falls practice-wise for your child. So feel free to come in. If there's something going on that's outside the norm, of course, reach out to us or pop your head in the gym to talk to one of the coaches or whatever the case is, but just normally just the first Monday of every month. As I mentioned before, we do encourage our athletes to be multiple sport athletes, but there's just a couple things that we ask. We ask that your son provide his high school schedule as well as game schedule as well as practice schedule to their coach or to Bridget and I until they know who their coach is. There just needs to be really great communication between the athlete and the coach. And we've had a lot of people who have done this before. There haven't been any problems with it. We do ask that they still make this club season and team a priority. So if they can only come for 20 minutes and then have to leave, or only come to the last 20 minutes of the practice, while we know it's a big time commitment, we know there's so much learning that's happening in practice, and we don't want anything to be missed. It is expected for our athletes to make any major tournaments. When we move on to tournament information, Bridget and I'm a mom of 4 and Bridget's a mom of 4, so we always talk about the importance of getting schedules out as early as we can to our families so that you guys can plan. Right now, I would tell you that the tournament schedule is about 95% complete. All the tournament host sites have sent out their dates and availabilities. We do not host at Club One, so we've taken and compiled all that information and put together our tournament schedule. We play on average 2 times per month, so we've kind of put that together. We have emailed out those host sites and are waiting on confirmation. One thing just to mention is that because we don't host, we are not in control of some of the things that could happen, start times or tournament cancellations. So while we don't anticipate that to happen, if there was a tournament that got low registrations and a week or 2 before the tournament was to go, the host site decided to cancel, when they communicated that to us, we would immediately communicate that out to you. A couple general rules of thumb: we ask that our athletes arrive 1 hour before they play or 45 minutes before they officiate. In club volleyball, when you have pools, there is an officiating team. That team provides a down judge, line officials, and a scorers table. All of our athletes are expected to stay until all playing and officiating duties are complete. And, it could be in the pool play, it could be after you guys are done playing, but we expect that everybody would be there for that as well. We also ask that you respect the food policies of every tournament site you go to. I can tell you this, Bridget and I have been to a lot of tournaments, and I've never been anywhere where they let you bring in outside food. So don't plan on bringing it in. If we ever got word that there was somewhere where you could go where it wasn't, we'd certainly let you know. But for anyone that has a food allergy or diabetes or gluten or whatever the issue is, if you let us know, we will email those tournament hosts directly and ask them how they'd like us to proceed so that we are still respectful of their policy but also taking care of our athletes. The one thing that we're doing this year that's a little bit different with tournaments, there's just a couple things, but one of them is that we're asking our athletes to bring a ball to the tournament. So in the past, we would provide our own balls and we would take them, but we're losing them and we don't have enough for the teams that are back at the gym. So this year, what we're going to ask is we will provide practice balls, and we just ask that our athletes each bring their own ball to their tournament so that we can have great warm-ups. And there's 2 ways we can do this. Many of our athletes already have balls, and I know that because I see them in the bins at our gym. So if that's the case, then they would just take their ball. If you don't have a ball or you don't have a good ball, on our Spiritwear order form, we will have the opportunity for you to purchase a high quality ball at a discounted price. So we're not making you buy one, but if you need one, we want to have them available to you. So look for those, and just remind your sons, and our coaches will as well, that they need them for all tournaments. As we move on to travel coupled with tournaments, as in the past, all of our teams will travel to the Dennis Lafada National Qualifier. In the past, it's been held in St. Louis. This year, it's going to be held in downtown Indy. Right now, we're being told it's just for this 1 year. It'll be in downtown Indy, and it's the weekend of February 3rd through the 5th. The only team that doesn't travel to this event is our 14 and under boys team. All of our other teams will travel to this event. What will happen is Bridget and I will send out a travel letter, and it will have all the steps necessary for proper registration. So we'll handle the tournament registration, but for hotels and securing things like that, we'll give you all of that information. One thing just for our families that you might need to know is our athletes stay with their families on all trips. So when you book your hotel room, just take into account that your son will be staying with you, and all travel fees that are incurred, with tuition and whatever are the fees that we incur as a club to attend the event. 2 things that we are adding this year to our tournament schedule that have been different in the past. Our 18s, our 18 red team will be traveling to California to that national qualifier January 27th through the 29th. And then our 16 red, our 17 red, and our 18 red will all be attending the USAV National Championships in Columbus, Ohio, July 1st through the 8th. It's only a 4-day event, but they have not associated the dates with the ages yet. So right now, for planning purposes, plan that your son could play 4 days, anywhere from July 1st through the 8th. If we go to these qualifiers, like the Indy qualifier, and we qualify, our teams will go in the open division. If we do not qualify, they will go in the club division. As we move on from there and we talk about playing time, coaches determine, what positions and how often each member of their team plays. It's definitely earned through hard work and practice. We do as a staff work very hard to make sure we have the right number of athletes on each team so that everybody can have a role. But it is the expectation that all of the athletes will be working very hard, be very respectful to our staff, doing different things. So if something like that isn't happening, that could affect playtime. If there's a lot of missed practices with no makeup and no communication, that will affect playtime. But our coaches will, discuss this directly with the athletes so that everybody is on the same page. The one thing that I just want to bring a little bit of light to in the handbook, it has been there before, but we do not guarantee any playtime on our top teams. So just when everybody understands what teams they're placed on, we will always look to give athletes opportunities. We will always expect our athletes to work hard, but we will not guarantee any playtime on the top team. If there's ever a situation where your son is unhappy about his playtime or maybe the position that he's playing, we ask that a couple things happen. The first thing is that we ask that the athlete discuss directly with the coach. They have the working relationship. They are in practice together every day. They're obviously always at tournaments together. And so talking directly with the coach gives the best chance for resolution in that situation. If it goes unresolved or there's really no change over a couple of weeks of time, because it does take some time, then we're all happy to sit down with the coach and the player and the parents and Bridget or myself to sit down and discuss to try to find a great solution. Usually when there's good communication with the athlete and coach, this happens by itself, but if it doesn't, we can all sit down together to discuss. We do have a 24-hour rule, and this is to protect both our families and our coaches. So if someone is unhappy about playtime, something happens in practice, it happens at a tournament, we ask that a parent or an athlete really waits 24 hours to discuss with the coach. We've had situations in the past where things have been said immediately, and unfortunately when that happens, you can't take things back. So we ask you to wait 24 hours and then reach out directly to the coach via email or phone, and then we can all look to, try to solve the issue. Please remember that our coaches dedicate many, many hours to these teams, to our program, and they would never humiliate or embarrass your son or daughter, and we would ask that the same respect given to our staff. We did add a clause for parent expectations a couple years back. These are just a couple of the things. I'm just going to read them, but I do think it's important that we are all on the same page with this. We ask that our families are respectful to our club coaches and players, that they demonstrate good sportsmanship at practices and tournaments to not only